Hey, it's your girl Linda D. Lowe here in the DMV, and I just want to tell you about my night last night. I went out to Carolina's Kitchen to celebrate a friend's birthday party. Yay! It was so fun. We had so much fun. The atmosphere was great. The music was great. I didn't really get anything to eat, but the food is great because I've eaten it before. But so we're there and we're enjoying the birthday party, and we're sitting in the lounge and bar area, and it's this guy who is standing up, and he's about maybe less than 2 feet away from me, and he's standing off to my left, and he's waiting on a seat to become available at the bar. So once the seat became available at the bar, he went and he sat down, and as he was sitting down, he turned around and he looked at me, and I smiled at him and I waved. I was like, hey, I was just trying to be polite. That's all I was doing. I was being polite. I was not even interested at all of him coming over to talk to me or anything like that. But I guess it kind of sparked his interest a little bit more to come and talk to me, because he had been kind of looking at me throughout the time he was standing up, but I didn't say anything to him. I just smiled at him. And so he mouthed something, and I have no idea what he said. I cannot read lips at all, okay? And so he comes over and he just asks if, he could come over and we could talk. And I was like, sure, you can come over here. You can, we can talk. So he goes back to the bar and he gets his drink and everything like that. And he comes back over, and I'm sitting on the bench part of the seat, and there's a stool beside the bench part of the seat. So he sits on the stool. So we start talking, and conversation is good. No complaints there. Conversation is good. And into the conversation, he asked me, hey, what are you here for? So I just tell him, I'm here celebrating a birthday party. And we just randomly talking about a lot of different things. And then he says to me, you should put my number in your phone. And I paused for a minute and I looked at him and I said, and do what with it? Because and I just started giggling. He started laughing as well. He was a really cool dude, sarcastic dude. So, he ain't taking no offense to it. And I'm like, and do what with it? And I was like, I'm gonna be upfront with you. I'm not interested in dating right now, and I'm not going to take your phone number. And so he asked me, why aren't you interested in dating? I said, well, you know what, I'm just really focusing on my career and everything like that. And he was like, okay, well, so you can't do both? He was like, not even to go out and have fun and to enjoy life? I said, well, my life isn't lacking. I still go out. I still have fun. I'm like, and I said to him, I'm out tonight with my friends. And so, and he was like, okay, nothing outside of that. I'm like, well, I kind of already know what I want, what I don't want. So yeah, I don't think it would be best for me, to put your number in my phone. And so, I guess he kind of brushed it off. So he continued to talk. We continued to laugh. And then he proceeded to say that he was like, I'm looking for 3 things in a girl. And I was like, okay, well, what are they? And so he said, the 3 things I'm looking for in a girl. And then he paused. And then he says, asked me, he was like, well, can you cook? And I just started laughing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you need to go ahead and make your way back on over to that bar where you came from. And I looked at him, was like, no, I don't cook. And so he was like, you don't cook. Okay. And it kind of took him by surprise. And so then I was like, no, I'm joking. I do cook. But I'm not the kind of person who likes being in the kitchen. So, I do dishes every now and again, here and there, or I cook when I need to. He was like, what you mean you cook when you need to? I was like, well, I live at home with my sister. She's a chef and she cooks, and hey. So he was like, okay, well, you don't cook. He was like, well, I like to cook. And I was like, well, if you like to cook, then why would I need to cook? And so he starts laughing again. And he was like, well, I just want a woman that I want to cook, because I like the picture of seeing my woman in the kitchen, and I like seeing her cook, the whole ambiance of it. I was like, okay, well, I guess, that's cool or whatever. He was like, so you wouldn't cook for your man? I said, well, it's not that I wouldn't cook for my man, because if I were in a committed relationship and if I were married, then I would definitely contribute to the household by cooking and doing, what I need to do. And so he was like, okay. He was like, well, can we compromise? Can you cook sometimes and I cook sometimes? So I'm like, okay, yeah. So we're really engaging in conversation, and I'm just going along with everything that he's saying. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's agree on that. I cook sometimes, you cook sometimes. So let's go with that. And so he says, well, what was my favorite dish to cook? I told him what was my favorite dish. So then he goes on to telling me the next thing that he wants in a woman. He was like, I like for my woman to keep me clean. And so I squint and I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean? Now the brother is well dressed. Okay. He got on fresh Timbs. He has on this nice Michael Kors, diamond bracelet, and, has a diamond earring in his ear, and he has on this nice Michael Kors watch. And so nice jeans, nice top. So I'm definitely checking him out. So no doubt there that this brother is fresh, okay? And so I'm like, what do you mean by keep you clean? And he was like, well, one of the girls I was dating before, she would do my laundry. And I was like, oh, really? So this is a girl that you're just dating, and she, did your laundry. He was like, yeah, she would do my laundry. I was like, oh, it sounds like you need to go to a dry cleaners. Like, dude, I'm gonna just be honest with you. It sounds like you're looking for a maid, for real. So he starts laughing again, and he goes on to tell me number 3 and all this other stuff. I don't even remember what number 3 was, but so, then he asked me, he's like, well, what are you looking for in a guy? And so I say, well, definitely number 1, top priority. He has to have a relationship with God. And when I said that, he just seemed really intrigued at the fact that I said God. And so he looks at me, he's staring at me, and I'm like, why are you staring at me? He was like, well, because you don't really hear a lot of girls talk about God. And I was like, oh, really? He was like, yeah, you just don't hear them talk about God. Some of them, they say they love God or whatever, but they don't really act like it. And I was like, oh, okay. And so he was like, well, tell me more about your spirituality. So I just told him more about my spirituality and everything like that. And so then again, he asks again, hey, you put my number in your phone. I'm like, nah, let's just, we can talk here. We cool, And so, as the conversation goes on, I ask him, I'm like, okay, well, what brings you here tonight? Why are you here? So he tells me that he had plans to go hang out with a girl. He said that he didn't say that this was his girlfriend. He said he had plans to go hang out with a friend. That's a girl. And the plans fell through. And so he came to Carolina's kitchen. And then he said that he was supposed to meet her at Carolina's kitchen. And so I was like, oh, so you waiting on her or whatever? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, then why are you over here talking to me? He was like, well, it's not like that between us. She and I, we just kick it all the time. We cool. We hang out all the time. We have fun. I was like, okay. And then he was like, if she were to walk in right now, and if she were to see me talking to you, she'll be cool with it. She wouldn't say anything about it. And so I was like, okay. So the conversation continued to go on, and him and I are sitting there talking for like an hour and a half. I don't know. We were talking for a long time. And so again, he's asking me, you should put you should put my number in your phone so we can hang out and have fun. And so I'm like, again, no. And so then we keep talking, talking about traveling, talking about relationships, talking about a lot of different things. And then the conversation became really much more interesting. I don't remember exactly what he asked me, but I remember him taking my hand. He took my hand, y'all. He grabbed my hand. He kind of came in closer to me, and he was saying something, and he was holding my hand tight. And because I was trying to like, you know, like, dude, let my hand go. Because earlier in the conversation, he was like, give me your hand. And I was like, no, what you gonna do with my hand? And so this time he just kind of took my hand, and he was like, just stay still. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna just stay still. So he's holding my hand, and he's in close, and we're engaging in conversation, y'all. And the girl walks in. The girl walks in. My hand is in between his hands. The girl walks in, and I look at her. I see her. He's talking. I don't think he sees her. I see her before he sees, I see her before he sees her. And so I look up at her and I'm like, hey, and I look at him and I look back at her, and her face does not say, I am okay with you holding another woman's hand. I mean, I'm sitting there literally, y'all. I am sitting there cracking up. Okay. I have no problems with laughing. Okay. And I'm sitting there cracking up at this dude, and he slowly lets my hand go, and he greets her. Her face. She was like, this is her exact words. She said, okay, what's going on? And I'm just sitting there like, oh, wow. So ladies, beware of these guys. Let me tell you something. Do not be thirsty for nobody, because if you're desperate and thirsty, like this dude kept trying to push me to put his number in my phone. I already knew that, I didn't want to, that conversation was not going to go beyond Carolina's kitchen. But ladies, you just gotta really know, every guy that comes to you, every guy that engages you in conversation, it doesn't mean that you have to continue to have conversations over and over again with them. You don't have to give out your number. Don't feel pressured. Just, hey, in that moment, hey, if we're having a conversation and it's all good here, then let it stay right there in that moment. And that's exactly what I did. Let that thing stay right there in that moment, and got me a freaking good laugh out of it, as well as a good old story to tell y'all. So, hey, ladies, be vigilant. Don't let these dudes get you.
Thinking it's a trend, girlfriend. Let me break it down for you again. You know I only say it 'cause I'm truly genuine. Don't be a hard rock when you really are a gem.